how to sleep well, and how to grow healthy, which I know is probably a lot of issue for a lot of people. Certainly is an issue for myself. I don't get the amount of sleep that I should do every night, but that's another story. So welcome everyone. But before we go any further, I'm just going to ask Jonathan Kirlew to just read out the disclaimer, please, before we participate any further in this meeting. Okay.
There we go. It's because YouTube is on. That's it.
Okay, thank you. I think we've sorted. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another edition. As you know, the disclaimer is only a physician can diagnose, treat, and prescribe for illnesses. Any information disclosed or discussed at TTI Zoom talk show and/or presentation and/or live demonstration is for educational purposes only. Please continue to seek professional medical advice from your general practitioner regarding any illnesses or disease you may be suffering from. I hope we all sit back and enjoy the show. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Last week we had a challenge. Are we gonna? You want us to proceed with the feedback from the challenge? Or are we just gonna go straight into Shirlene's presentation?
We're going to get the feedback. Jonathan's on mute.
Okay.
But yes, the testimonial.
You can't hear me, can you? Yeah. Okay. Can anyone remember what the challenge was last week? Anyone remember what the challenge was last week?
No snacking.
That's it. No snacking. We should carry on with the water challenge we had the week before and the sweet challenge the week before that. And it would be no snacking during this week. So now, right, we need to be honest with ourselves now. How did we all get on last week? Can anybody out there on the chat tell me how you all got on last week? Were you able to maintain the no snacking business? And what we mean is that other than your 3 meals, you don't have anything in between. No sweets and no picking and eating in between your main meals. How did we get on? Has anybody got anything to say about that? How did you find it? How did you find the challenge?
It was a challenge. Definitely.
Go ahead, share it with us, Sharon. Share your experience.
I don't know if it's much to share, but well, the water challenge, I kind of stopped measuring the amount that I was drinking, but I know I was definitely drinking more. And I tried to make it interesting by putting a few leaves of mint in my water, just to make it a bit nicer. The showering with the contrast showers, I did a bit better this week. So praise the Lord for that. The sugars, wow. But the no snacking, that again, that was.
What do you mean about the sugars?
Let's just move on to the next one. Okay, this week was no snacking. Okay, so yeah, so no snacking. I found it a challenge, but I with God's help, I was able to do all right. All right. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm
Sharon.
hungry now. Put it this way, I want to eat now, but I'm just like letting it rest.
Good.
Telling Tommy, go away.
Okay.
Growling.
It's not time.
No, not really.
Okay.
The truth be told.
Anyone else?
Someone put it in the chat that it went well for them, but they struggled with having just 2 meals a day.
Okay.
Okay.
For me, it was all right, especially when I had my lemon warm water. I didn't really snack anyway, but the hunger feeling wasn't really there. So, but that's because I drank warm lemon water, which helped to kind of ease the hunger.
Okay.
I think we would like to hear a little bit more from the person who did the 2 meals, but maybe struggle a bit, because we probably could give some tips on how to carry on.
Well, one of the tips that we had was to have set times and try and work with your set times. Otherwise, the hunger will come in. There's no two ways about it. And there were times when I didn't have enough in the morning, and I really struggled. But you know, the struggling won't kill me. So it was a case of just persevering. But yeah, if you don't fuel up in the mornings, you are really going to struggle, especially if your work pattern doesn't allow you to have like a later breakfast.
Yeah.
I can attest to that. I know one of the things for me in doing the challenge is basically it's a lifestyle for me. And the thing, I always try to have a big breakfast, and that will take me the next 4 to 5 hours. And when I talk about a big breakfast, I'm talking about yam, dumpling, all that sort of stuff.
So you're filling yourself up to make sure you can.
That's right. So generally what people would tend to have for dinner, or sorry, what they would tend to have for dinner, yes, I do have that for breakfast. And
Yeah.
what they would tend to have for breakfast, I do have that for dinner. So something light like cereal or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I had cereal for breakfast and a couple of bananas, or a banana cut up within my cereal. The only thing that I find that by the time I get to about midday, 1 o'clock, I was literally starving. And I then had to rein myself in not to go overboard. I'd had something to eat, something light, but by the evening, by the time I get to 5 o'clock, I am really, really hungry and probably overeat too much in my evening meal. But then I try not to have anything later on in the evening. The only thing I might have later on before I go to my bed might be a drink of Sorisi tea, which I'm still trying to get used to this Sorisi tea. I heard they say it's good, but it is so bitter. I'm trying my best to get the taste of it so I don't go off it. But that was all right. It was a trial, but I did come through it okay.
You have a cutoff period that you cut off in the evening. At a certain time, you eat nothing else.
Yeah, I didn't eat anything else after 5:30, 6 o'clock. But what I did do, I did take a drink around about 8 o'clock. Normally it's all the herbal tea. Like I said, in this case, I've been trying out the Sorisi, and I've been drinking the Sorisi, and it's just so bitter. But I did try and stick it out. That's normal. I normally have that around about 7:30, 8 o'clock in the evening.
Well, what I would say to you, whatever you're doing, continue, because you're glowing.
Yeah, dear. Thank you. Thanks, Jonathan. Anybody else? Any other experience? My experiences over the week, last week. Hi, Ralston. Can you hear me?
There's a message in the chat.
While you're waiting on Ralston, Pastor Sterling, I'll just read the message in the chat.
Yeah.
Is that from Dr. Kgomotso? I did well with the hot and cold shower times 3 times as struggle to me by Dr. Kgomotso. I love it and getting used to it.
As suggested to me.
Suggested, sorry. Is Ralston there?
I don't know. Yes, he is. I can see him. Ralston, how did you get on? Can you unmute him, please?
Come and use this. Come and use this one.
Just a minute, Ralston. We're gonna see if we can unmute you. Can anybody see him? Yes, he's unmuted now. Go on, Raleigh. How did you get on?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I don't think I did very well, but I think I tried to do breakfast, nothing in between. Then I had my lunch, sandwich, and then I did evening meal. So I think I did pretty well. I don't think I did too badly, to be honest.
Okay, good.
But I did forget the actual task.
Did you?
But I did forget the task, yeah. But I was doing all those things anyway, just to kind of not eat too much. So I was waiting 2 hours before I could drink anything after a meal. So in other words, I did go for a long period without eating or drinking. So I think I did pretty well with the task.
Okay, so no snacking in between, just the 3
No, I've stopped snacking now, because I used to have like lots of cakes, buns, biscuits, things like that, and I've got a sweet tooth, so it's been difficult for me to not have anything in between. So Angela, my wife, she likes to bring things in, sweet things, and put them on the side, and I have to turn away to put my head another way so I don't see them, So it's been difficult.
So you haven't yielded to the temptation then?
I haven't done it well. Let me see. Today I did yield today.
Did you?
I did yield because today is Saturday, ain't it? Saturday today.
Yeah.
It's a week, isn't it? It's a week today. So.
Yes, a week. So you were waiting to break it today, and it's like being in a fast. And
Yeah. Yes. So I was tempted today.
So
Yeah. So.
So what
did I have? I'm trying to think. It was something sweet. Oh yeah, it was one of those slices, one of those bakewell slices. You have. It was very nice. With a bit of jam in it and coconut on top, and some nuts. It was nice. It was healthy.
That's your one for the day, then, Ralston.
That's one for the day, no more.
Jam, yes.
Yeah. So I've been minute I'm doing some gardening.
Okay. To burn it off.
To burn it off.
All right. Okay. All right. Thank you. Anybody else? Has anybody else? Any other experiences? Coping very well without snacks, it's not a problem at all. But sweet stuff, a lot of people are having problem with the sweet stuff. Eating breakfast like a king. Yeah, that's Dr. Kgomotso, I think. She did what you did, Jonathan. Massive breakfast and having problems with the protein and the desserts, I can say from what's on the chat here. Try having some nuts with your porridge and more food. Yeah, all these are good things. All right, thank you all very much.
Can I just say something?
Yes, go on, Edgar.
Good afternoon, everybody. I would just like to confirm that look at your combinations of your food, because I think that will make a big difference. If you're going to have fruits go through the system fairly quickly, vegetables go through the system fairly quickly. When you actually start putting grains in, that's going to be more slow releasing, especially the brown stuff. The same applies with the nuts. Normally nuts take about 3 hours to actually be digested. So if you're having a nice cereal and you're putting nuts with it, it's going to take a while for it to go through your system. Whereas if you just say, not being thoughtful about it and just say have an apple or some grapes or something like that and said, that's my breakfast, it won't take very long for you to start feeling hungry. So you need to think about your combinations, and your main amount of food should be eaten in the morning. If you have a good breakfast, it sets you up for the day. And I'm sure plenty of people can testify to say, well, I was going to work, I was late, so I just grabbed an apple. And then I went, and then when they start working, within a couple of hours thinking, man, I'm hungry, I need to snack. And it's all because you've not had a good breakfast in the morning. Having a good breakfast, I mean, Dr. Kgomotso said, eat like a king. And there's an added way, it says, eat like a king, eat like a prince, and in the evening you should eat like a pauper.
Okay.
And I think there's good counsel to that, because number one, if you eat like a king in the evening, which is what a lot of people do because of time and rushing about and so on, how do you get rid of that food in the evening? It's a good amount of food. Once you change your lifestyle and actually eat less in the evening and more in the morning, if you try and go back to what you was doing before, the food that you eat in the evening will rest on you. You can't even sleep properly at night because you'll realize you're eating too much food in the evening. You can't get rid of it. So it's better to have most of your food in the morning, eat lighter in the afternoon, and then eat light in the evening. And you'll find that your sleep will be more restful.
Okay. Thanks for that, Edgar.
No problem.
Thank you. Any other experiences, please? And if there's no other experiences, we are going to move into the presentation. And as I said, it's our presenter this afternoon will be Shirlene. And the area she'll be addressing this afternoon will be sleep well and grow healthy. So with that, I'd like to just hand over to you now, Shirlene, if you don't mind. Shirlene Kirlew, she's one of the member of the TTI team, and I'm sure she's probably more prominent within the ladies section. But today, she's with everybody. So over to you, Shirlene. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Pastor Sterling. Right about now, I'm a bit hot and flustered because my laptop was playing games with me. So now I'm on Jonathan's and I'm trying to, hopefully my presentation will come up on here because on my laptop, the feedback. But hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us on this day. Today, I'm going to talk about sleep. And the reason why I chose to speak on sleep and also the title Grow Healthy is because sleep plays an important role. We need sleep. If we don't, if sleep is like air, we need to sleep or we're just going to just malfunction. Our bodies won't work. So I'm just going to screen share. Do a screen share. And hopefully it will work.
It's fine, it's fine.
Okay, so.
Yeah, it's there now.
Okay, so. Right, start slash. Let me see. Let's come off again, I think. Let's start again. Start from the beginning. Okay, sleep well, grow healthy. So we're going to just start with defining sleep, of what sleep is. So sleep is a naturally recurring state of mind and body characterized by altered consciousness, relatively inhibited sensory activity, inhibition of nearly all voluntary muscles, and reduced interactions with surroundings. So when you're sleeping, you're not conscious of your surroundings. And we're going to look through the stages in the next slide, but your body parts are kind of like paralyzed when you're sleeping. So these are the stages of sleep. There are 5 stages. Well, some say 4, some say 5, because 3 and 4 are together, but there's 5 stages of sleep. So the first stage, they're called the NREMs. And this is where you're kind of awake, but you're kind of in a state of going to sleep, the light sleep. So that's the first stage. Sometimes when I'm about to go to sleep, I'm kind of like, I don't know if you had the feeling of when you kind of do this out of your sleep. That's the first stage. So that's your between consciousness and sleep. Then the next one is number 2, which is where your heart rate starts to slow, your brain does less complicated tasks. And then from stage 2, you're going to stage 3 and 4 of the cycle, which is where you'll be into a deep sleep. That's where your body starts to repair, your body temperature and your blood pressure starts to decrease. And then it will go into, so all 4 of them are for the NREMs. And then the 5th REM is where it will have the rapid eye movement. And then your heart rate and your breathing starts to increase, because that's when it be starting to go into like the wake, when you're starting to become alert, when you're going into consciousness. So that'll be the 5th stage of sleep. And this cycle is actually around 90 to 120 minutes, and then it will repeat. So within our body, we actually have a clock within us, and this is called the circadian rhythm. And it's basically a 24-hour internal clock that is running in the background of our brain, and it cycles between the sleepiness and the alertness at regular intervals. And this is also known as your sleep and your wake cycle. So I don't know if anybody has noticed, but during the day, when you wake up, at certain times of the day, you actually start to feel energized. And at certain times of the day, you actually feel drowsy and you start to feel tired. And that is your circadian rhythm. So within the circadian rhythm, that's part of your hypothalamus. That's a portion of your brain which controls it. And outside factors like lightness and darkness can also impact it. Why, you may ask, is because when it's dark at nighttime, your eyes, when it's dark, your eyes will send a signal to the hypothalamus in the brain and to say that it's time to feel tired. And then in turn, your brain will send a signal to your body to release a natural hormone called melatonin. And this is what makes your body tired. So melatonin is a natural hormone, and this hormone, it will increase when it's nighttime and then decrease when the sun rises. So when it comes to night shift, when you're doing night shift now, and people who work nights, they will have problems sleeping. The reason why is because they technically did a 360-degree turn, because when they're supposed to be sleeping, they're awake. When they're supposed to be awake, they're sleeping. So their body, their circadian rhythm is out of sync because of this, because of the nighttime working. And I'm actually going to have one of our panelists, Louisa, Dr. Louisa, just to elaborate further regarding the circadian rhythm. Let me just, oh, you're unmuted, okay.
I'm unmuted.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. This is an important part to understand. We all know about time when we look at our watches. That's chronos in terms of time. It's chronological time. It's outside of ourselves. But within ourselves, we have a biological clock. This is what Shirlene is talking about. And we have a main biological clock, like she said, in our brain, which senses the light, darkness, and light to determine what needs to happen to every part of our body, not just sleeping, including eating, including every single part of our body, repairs and all of that. So this is an internal clock. It is self-sustained, and it is also, it's built in to ourselves, all right? And this clock is not regulated by what you decide to do. So that's why she's saying about night shift workers, you're actually going against your own clock. But this clock also controls every cell in your body, has its own little clock. So if that makes sense, you have a main clock in your brain that tells other cells, okay, now it is time to sleep. Now it is time to wake up. Now it is time for food, so get ready. Now it is time to repair. Now it is time to divide. Now it is time to multiply. That's what the circadian rhythm is about. It's based on 24 hours. Circadian comes from a Latin word meaning day, or the diem means day. The circa means around or approximately. So approximately every 24 hours, your body is going through different rhythms. Now, this clock will be affected by light. I'm sure Shirlene is going to go into more details about that. It will be affected by eating. It will be affected by temperature. But you have an internal body clock that is not directly linked to your schedule. So you need to be aware of your schedule so that you know how it impacts your internal body clock. Does that help everybody? I think that's, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Louisa. So that's regarding our circadian rhythm and how important it is within our bodies. So now we're going to talk about the benefits of sleep. Sleep plays an important role in the function of the brain by forming new pathways and processing information. Research has shown that adequate sleep helps to improve your memory and learning, increase attention and creativity, and aid in making decisions. It helps restore our immune system. So especially what's happening now in this world out with the COVID, our immune system needs to be on top. So if you're not sleeping, your immune system's not able to restore. So it's important to sleep, important to rest. And also just imagine in terms of, them like magic bullet machines or blenders, and it only says that you're supposed to just press it for like 30 seconds. What happens to it when you continue for like 2 minutes, 3 minutes? It starts to burn out. So if we continue, just keep going and going without sleeping or resting, we too will burn out. So sleep and resting is very important, and it helps to restore our immune system, to make it stronger, our nervous system, skeletal and muscular systems, and it helps maintain a healthy weight, reduces inflammation, and it restores our energy levels. I know when I don't sleep, I've got no energy in the day. So I know we need to sleep to have energy levels, good energy levels. So what is a healthy sleep duration? Now, this is just a guideline because I don't want you to stress if you don't get this many hours. But it's just a guideline. But newborns are about 14 to 17, 4 to 12 months is 12 to 16. Then it's 1 to 2, 3 to 5, 6 to 12 years, 9 to 12 hours. 12 to 18 years is 8 to 10 hours, 18 plus 7 to 9 hours. Now, if you don't get this much sleep, it's not a problem because everybody's different and everybody's body is different. So I might be able to cope on 7, someone else might be able to cope on just 5 hours of sleep. And these people are actually called short sleepers. Most adults need 7 or more hours of sleep per night, and they're unable to function well if they have less than that. But a small percentage of adults are short sleepers. They regularly feel alert and refreshed after sleeping less than 6 hours per night, and they can actually function through the whole day. They can be full of energy, full of life with just 4 or 5 hours sleep, and that's how their body functions. And people might think, is that insomnia? But it's nowhere near insomnia because they will have the sweetest sleep. They can go to sleep straight away and they can go through the whole day. And then as long as they get that deep sleep, they're fine. So that's the short sleepers. So how can sleep affect our health? If we don't have enough sleep, what can happen? So increases of symptoms of depression will happen. So a lack of sleep disrupts our neurotransmitters in the brain, which regulates our mood. You have increased risk of breast cancer because of the melatonin decreases when you're exposed to light. So, and we have our phones in our beds, or TV, or night light or something, the melatonin will decrease because it will think that it's daytime. So that will decrease, and a decrease in melatonin disrupts the estrogen, which can lead to breast cancer. Then you have increased risk for heart disease, weight gain, risk of diabetes, stroke. You get higher levels of anxiety because you're anxious. Some people might be anxious because they might be going to bed at 11 and then looking at the time and thinking, I have to be up in 4 or 5 hours, and then just stressing their body or being anxious. And then that can cause problems in not sleeping properly. And then impaired cognition. Lack of sleep impairs memory and your ability to process information if you don't sleep. But then you have the opposite. When you have too much sleep, obesity comes again. When you have too much, obesity, back pain, headaches, heart disease, and depression. So you can undersleep and you can oversleep, and it can cause problems. So sleep and mental health. Sleep problems, insomnia in particular, are commonly experienced by those with mood and anxiety disorders. Insomnia can be either a risk factor or a symptom of mental health conditions. So what is insomnia? This is when someone finds it hard to go to sleep. And when they do go to sleep, they wake up in the night, and then they might not be able to go back to sleep, or they wake up frequently within the night. And that is what insomnia is. And statistics shows that 5 to 35% of the population has insomnia at some point in their lives, and 10 to 15% have persistent insomnia. So persistent means that it's all the time of insomnia, of not being able to sleep. And I've known people that had it for years and years of not being able to sleep. So the symptoms may include of insomnia: difficulty falling asleep at night, you're waking up during the night, you're waking up too early, you're not feeling well rested once you've slept, you're not feeling refreshed as you should be, daytime tiredness or sleepiness, you're irritable, you're depressed, you're anxious, you can't pay attention, you can't focus, increased errors or accidents. So that means when you're driving and then because you haven't slept, you're probably going to do something, some accident, because you haven't slept. So all of these are symptoms of insomnia. And then the factors affecting insomnia is aging. When you're aging, when you get older, when you go into the cycle, the REM stage, older adults don't hit the REM stage. They find it difficult because they're getting older, things are changing within their bodies or within their lives, and they find it hard to sleep. So aging is a factor. A female gender, premenopausal, pregnancy, so that can affect sleep. If you have a family history of insomnia, a personal one in the past, a presence of a psychiatric disorder, increased stress. When you're stressed, you can't sleep. Some people can't eat. Medications can affect insomnia. Certain medications cannot make you sleep. So, and then also changes in work schedule, the night shift, what we mentioned earlier, traumatic events, and physical and mental health problems. All of these can be factors affecting insomnia. So how can we help someone with insomnia? Well, do nothing in bed except intimacy, but nothing else but sleep, and sleep only in bed. That's it, in bed, nothing more. Go to bed only when you're sleepy. Do not use your bedroom or your bed or your bedroom for anything else but sleep. So I know sometimes some people might have the PSP or the Xbox in their room and they're playing on it in their bedroom, but then they might find it hard to sleep. But their mind might be constantly on this. And then also with the phones, the laptops, and I know because of the COVID, people working from home, don't do it in your bed or bedroom. Go into a living space or a kitchen, go somewhere else other than your bed and your bedroom, because then that way you'll be able to sleep later on when it's time for bed. And if you're unable to sleep, after about 15 to 20 minutes, leave the bedroom. I know when I leave somewhere to come back, we feel refreshed, and then you might be able to go back to sleep. We might be able to go to sleep then after the 20 minutes. Hide the clock, because once I know when I have to go somewhere for about 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, and I'm still up by midnight, I'm stressing at the clock, looking at it to think, oh no, it's this time. Oh no, it's this time. And then you're just stressing your body for trying to sleep, and then it's not going to work. You're just putting your body underneath unnecessary stress. So hide the clock so you can't see it. You don't know what time it is that you went to sleep. Wake up at a regular time, regardless of how well or how long you slept. Your body likes routine. Your body, as you know, is a clock. So wake up, go to bed at the same time, regular times, and that will help. And avoid taking naps. I know that some people, if they work a 9 to 5, sorry everyone. Yes, so avoid taking naps as well. Some people who may work, probably working in general, and then when they get home, they're so tired that they just want to fall to sleep. But then when they fall asleep, they probably go to sleep, wake up about 11, and then they can't go back to sleep again till about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And then they have to wake up again around 8, 9 o'clock to go back to work. So avoid taking naps, whether it's in the evening or in the daytime. This is if you're having a problem with insomnia, of course, because everyone's different. Some people may be able to take a nap and they're fine. Some people may not. So it depends on how you are and your body. So tips for a healthy sleep: get up at the same time, take an evening walk, just take a walk around the block, and that will help you later on in the evening for when it's time to sleep. Have a good bedtime routine, have a comfortable bed, make sure the pillows are nice and fluffy, and then your duvets are nice, and then you got nice clean linen on your bed. That will help you sleep. A cool, dark room. So have some air let some air into the room, open the window and make the room dark, and that will help. And also have a relaxing bath. So when you have a bath, put some Epsom salts in there, put some essential oils in there, and just relax with some music, which will help as well. But some things to avoid is heavy food. Don't have heavy food before you go to sleep. This will cause problems. The reason why is because it's set for your body to be at rest and to have a comfortable sleep. Your body is going to be focusing on digesting the food within the stomach, and the body is not supposed to be focusing on that area if you're supposed to be sleeping. So avoid heavy food. And of course, from the other slides, but in terms of weight gain, this can cause weight gain as well, eating before you go to sleep, because then you're stagnant, you're not doing anything with that food. So with the challenges that we've been doing, with the meals, we'll say eat like a king or queen in the morning time, and then you eat like a pauper in the evening. Don't have no heavy food in the evening, because it will just cause stress on your body for when it's time to sleep. You want foods that's easy to digest. The blue light, that's your mobile phone. With the light, when you have the light on and it's in your face and then your room is dark, the light's not good for your eyes. And then this light will end up with the melatonin. It will decrease the melatonin within your body because it sees this light. And then of course, it's not going to help you to sleep. And then hard training. Physical exercise is good for you, but not before you're going to sleep, because then you're just going to be awake and you're going to find it difficult because you've got all this energy that you've pumped into your body. So hard training, do it in the early evening or early morning. Avoid alcohol and smoking and caffeine drinks, because that will be defeating the purpose. Have it in the morning if you have to, take it in the morning or afternoon in terms of alcohol. But if you have to, take it in the day, not before bedtime, because it's just going to keep you awake and alert. And then stress. Now, this is a hard one because it's hard not to stress, and they talk about stress being a silent killer. People don't even know when they're stressed, but the body does. So it's better, it's hard to say, but try not to stress before you go to sleep so that you're able to sleep. So just got a few tips, some home helps. Although what I said before, there are other remedies that you could do. So essential oils have been used for thousands of years, and this helps to calm the body, as it's got soothing properties to relax the body and the mind. So essential oils can be used. You can put it in your diffuser, put it in the bath, and this will help to relax your body, such as lavender, clary sage, bergamot, lemon. These are all great essential oils that can be used and to help you to be able to sleep, or to even keep you relaxed and not even stress as well. So essential oils are good. Just make sure they're the pure ones and the therapeutic. You can even drink some chamomile tea. Chamomile tea has been used as a natural remedy to reduce inflammation and anxiety and treat insomnia. It's actually regarded as a mild tranquilizer or a sleep inducer. It has a calming effect because it's got an antioxidant called apigenin, which is found in abundance in chamomile tea. And this actually helps with the brain to decrease anxiety and initiate sleep. So drink some chamomile tea. You can also drink some lemon balm. I know this, when you put this in a tea, as a tea, it smells beautiful and it tastes really nice and refreshing as a refreshing drink. So lemon balm is great, as it's got a nice citrus scent and aromatic herb, and it's great for reducing stress and improving sleep. And then you got lavender tea. Majority of us knows about lavender and how it's calming, and it helps in relaxing and settling our nerves, and it will help in aiding sleep, good sleep. So another tip that we can do is a herbal bath. Taking care of yourself shouldn't be a challenge, but after a long day, it can be hard to have a bath. If you have a bath, it can be sometimes hard to fit in a good bath in your routine. But herbal baths are a simple and relaxing way to support your well-being while you wind down. So what you could do, because these are herbs, you can put some herbs in a bag like this. It's like a, what do you call it? Muslin type bag with a string. So what you'll do, I have here some lemon balm to put in the bag and some rose petals in a bag. So there's a recipe. Just put it in a bag and put it in your bath in some hot water in the bath. And then what you're going to do is have the benefits of these herbs go into your largest organ, which is the skin. So it will go right through there and go into the skin and give you a relaxing bath, and you'll have the benefits of the herbs going into your body. So this is the soothing bath tea. This is another way that you can do it, where it's got water, lavender, lemon balm, and rose, and it's like you're making a tea, technically. And then with that tea, you're just going to put it into your bath, and then what you can do is just enjoy it and enjoy the aroma of the herbs. So there is another way as well, incline bed therapy that you can do. Marie is actually going to talk about that. Let me see if I can get Marie on. Marie, she's going to talk about incline bed therapy. Let me see how to do this. Sorry, I'm trying to get into this, trying to get Marie on. There we go. Okay, Marie.
Oh, hi, Shirlene.
Marie.
Okay, thank you very much, Shirley. So I'm just going to briefly touch on inclined bed therapy. And like the name suggests, inclined bed therapy is really where your head of your bed is raised by about 6 inches, okay? And this medical breakthrough came about by an Englishman called Andrew Fletcher, okay? And there are many benefits that can be derived by inclining our bed by 6 inches. Now, when he came up with this medical breakthrough, actually, I should mention, he's not even a medical doctor, he's an engineer. When he came up with this is by his observation of plants and how plants have a system where it extracts the nutrients and the sap from through its root up to its branches. And it's the same way that, you know, by the, what should say, use the force of gravity to get the water and the sap to the top, you know, of the leaves and to its branches. Now, it's the same way where humans have a similar system of ducts and tubes in our bodies, and the fluids and the fluids will move through our limbs, which are like branches. Now, when we elevate our bed, it would create a similar suction-like pressure, okay, like the force that Andrew Fletcher observed. And this elevator effect on the body during sleep would allow the fluids in the body to circulate throughout the night. So when we lie flat at night, it's like it's stagnated. It's like our body fluids are stagnated and not circulating. And when we you know, raise the head of our bed by 6 inches, the advantage is that it helps the blood to circulate around the body. And it not just helps the blood, but it also helps the lymphatic system and the cerebrospinal fluid. Now, the cerebrospinal fluid is that fluid that circulates around the brain down to the end of your spinal, to the bottom rather of your spinal cord. So that is quite helpful in the circulation. Now, for people who have who snore or who have issues with breathing, or you become heavily congested, especially at night, this is a wonderful therapy. The inclined bed therapy is wonderful because it helps you to breathe better, and it helps to clear the congestion because of the circulation that is going on in your body as you sleep. Also, for people with psoriasis and eczema, it's quite helpful that you have this raised when you sleep, because your lymphatic system is also circulating, and your lymphatic system helps with cleaning up inflammation and stuff like that in your body. So for those of you who are interested in doing this, you can look online and you could find some more information about the inclined bed therapy. And this came about by a man called Andrew Fletcher. So that's what I'd like to share there, Shirlene.
Thank you, Marie. Thank you. Pastor Sterling.
Hello.
I don't know if you want to take questions, because my presentation was kind of short today.
Okay, right. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. That's good.
Yes, it's very short. Sweet and short.
Yes, that's very good. It's short to the point. I've made notes of everything that you've said, because I'm one of those who I wouldn't say can get by, but most nights I get by with between 4 and 5 hours a night. So
okay.
I've just learned a lot there. Probably lifestyle have a bit to do with that. But we might have to look at that. So so we move on then and see if there are any questions either in the chat room. Is Jonathan available to do the chat room for me, or is he?
No, he's here.
Oh, okay, Jonathan, you can do the chat room.
I think we're sharing computer because we're having some technical glitch.
All right, yeah. Okay, so if anyone have any question, if you can show by your hands, just put it in the chat room, please. We'll try and get to you to answer your various questions. I did see one question on here, Jonathan and Shirlene. with regarding power nap. Someone was asking, what is a power nap? Is there such thing as a power nap?
I know some people say power nap, they usually have it for about 10, 20 minutes and then they're okay.
Yeah.
I think that's a power nap. But for some people, they might be okay with a power nap. I know I can't take a power nap because I will feel worse before I even slept. Because I feel sick and headaches and all sorts. I can't take a power nap. But some people can, and they're actually full of energy and they're fine. Yeah, so people are different. So some people might be able to have a power nap and some can't. But I think power naps around 10 to 20 minutes of just a quick sleep, and then that's it. That's what they needed, like a quick deep sleep and then out. Well, not out, but I mean up.
Okay.
I don't know if the doctor has anything to say regarding power naps or anybody else on the panel, but it's a quick sleep.
Anybody? Can somebody unmute doctor if she's got anything else to add to that?
Oh, there's a blue hand as well. Just unmute all. I don't know how to.
Yes, hi everyone. My network is a bit unstable. We're having terrible weather here, but I hope everybody can hear me.
Okay.
Yes, like Shirlene said, power naps, you have to know yourself. If you take too many power naps, you may find that in the night you are not able to sleep. But for some people, especially if you're a brain worker and you tire out your brain a lot, you may need, especially around 2 in the afternoon, you may feel that sluggishness. That's why in some countries they have what we call a siesta. And that just helps to shut down your brain for a while, allow yourselves to, you know, just come together, and then you can continue and be more efficient during the day. And the reason I find that to be far more important is that some people, what they will do around 2 when they feel their brain, I know that's what I used to do, they would take an energy drink or take coffee to try and force themselves to continue. But it may be better to just take a 10, 30 minutes power nap to just help refresh your brain, and then drink your water and then continue with the rest of the day. But if you're feeling sleepy because you ate a meal, then that's a different condition altogether. Your system has challenges, and you need to probably go on a detox program to unclog your liver. It should not be after eating that you feel sleepy. Just at some point during the day, you find that you can't focus mentally. Don't take an energy drink and caffeinated drink. Take a power nap. It's better.
Okay. Right. Thanks for that. I've seen a question here in the chat room. What do we use to raise the bed? You know, Shirlene, you did talk about it's best to have your bed raised slightly, and it helps the decongestion that you probably suffers at night. People are asking here, what do you use to raise the bed?
It was Marie, but what they could do is
Raise the pillows.
Raise the pillows.
Pillows, yeah.
To elevate your head.
Yes.
I don't know if Marie has anything further for that therapy, but you can just raise your head with the pillows.
Yes, that's one way to raise, to have that incline. You can use the pillows, but it can also, raising the pillow, your body that way, and sometimes lead to spinal and neck prob issues.
Yeah.
So some people have done it successfully. However, a better way is to use like a wedge, okay? And it's more like a plank that you can actually raise from the base of the bed, yes, the head. So if you put a wedge across, that would be horizontally across the top. And you can maybe get it from a DIY store or a hardware store. You can actually just get a plank, 6 inches or less, and so that is resting on the floor, and then you would rest the head of your bed on top, the legs at the top of your bed, onto that 6-inch plank, which will give the raise. That's a better way to raise it, because you could actually cause spinal problems if you do not lie properly on the pillows when it's raised. But people have done it that way as well.
Okay.
I see we have a raised hand in the chat from Shirlene. Would you like to unmute yourself and ask your question?
I was just saying I found Epsom salt to
We're actually
be
struggling to.
really soaking if you can't have a bath and a cold foot bath. That's really good. Can you hear me now? Can you hear now?
We
Yeah.
can hear.
Start again. Yes, please. We can hear you now. Can you just repeat yourself
Yeah.
again, please?
So I was just saying that if you can't have then a foot bath, hot and cold foot bath with Epsom salts I found that really good.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Thank you. That sound good.
What time is best time to sleep? And with that, how does intimacy affect your sleep? As in going over the time you should be asleep.
Well, you're gonna have to plan it wisely. I don't.
Shirlene,
Yeah.
let me just share a
Yeah.
screen. You know when the Bible
Okay.
says for everything there's a
Time
time and a season. We have no idea just how what that means. Literally, for everything there's a time and a season. You mentioned the circadian rhythm, which is your internal body clock, and literally at every point in a person's life, there's something that's supposed to happen. Now, if you look at that clock, you will see that it's not like your normal clock. Noon is at the top, so 6 in the evening is on your side, right? I mean 6 in the morning is on your, on your other side. I think it's your left or your right side. Anyway, so you see that around 7:30, melatonin secretion stops altogether, but actually it starts declining from earlier on. And then around 8:30, bowel movements start. This is because, like we said, when your eyes, as Shirlene was saying, when your eyes see the light, your biological clock works with nature itself, not with these lights that are interfering. So your bowel movement is likely to start around 8:30. Now, look, it's very interesting that men release testosterone at 9. That's why when we do testosterone testing at the center, we tell them to go early in the morning before 10 so that we can have a proper, analysis of their testosterone. We are mostly highly alert in terms of our minds between 10 and 12. That's when we can really grasp things. Obviously, even before, when it's dark, when you wake up in the morning, that's the bedtime. Your brain is refreshed. But this is what recent science is showing, that if you understand this biological clock and you try to work with it, you will find that you are far more efficient. So it's actually better to exercise in the late evening, because you see around 5, your greatest cardiovascular efficiency and muscle strength is there. If you have blood pressure issues and heart issues, it's not best to exercise in the morning. That's why a lot of people tend to have their strokes early on in the morning, because that's when your blood pressure is going up. And then you see that your body temperature starts going up at 7, because that helps you to be able to go to sleep. That's why if you take a bath around then, it induces sleep. You make sure that you don't have that blue light, orange light I put on the side. Orange light, like a fire, actually helps calm things down if you don't want to be in complete darkness. So it's not just the light, but it's the color of the light that's important for your sleep. And then you see around 9, you start releasing your melatonin. Your brain starts winding down, so you want to be able to go to sleep. And then around 10:30, bowel movements stop. Now, obviously, when you eat is important, because eating is going to affect the circadian rhythm. Mating is going to affect the circadian rhythm, as you're saying. So like Shirlene said, you need to time it well, because if you're going through the night, then you're not going to have energy the following day. And so now the biggest challenge we have, as we were talking also with Marie, was that, you know, what do night shift workers do? Because they cannot work within their own biological clock. That poses a challenge. What studies have shown is that people who sleep less are more likely to have metabolic syndromes, diabetes, high blood pressure, because apart from the fact that they're not working with their body clock, they're also probably eating outside of the time that you're supposed to be eating. And therefore you are more predisposed to diseases. So if you're not a night shift worker, try to work in accordance with your biological clock. It has been shown that two people can be on a healthy diet, like we're doing, drinking their water, but if somebody is eating outside of this time, it can actually interfere with their sleep. You know, so those are some of the things that interfere with sleep. Studying can interfere with sleep, eating can interfere with sleep. As you said, sex can interfere with sleep. So you need to time everything properly so that the following day you have energy to do the things that you want to do. So I just thought this slide was quite useful. A lot of us are not working in accordance with our biological clock, and that's why we're not so healthy. I used to do night shift at the hospitals, and I remember one day I actually literally bumped into the back of somebody's car because eyes open. Often I would drive home and I would not even remember if I stopped at the stop sign, what I did, because you throw your body out of rhythm. So sleep is not luxury, it is absolutely critical. That's all I wanted to share with everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kgomotso. There's some, I think you've just sent up the questions in the chat now. There's 6 of them in there.
Yeah, go ahead with them, Jonathan.
I'll just read the first one that I can see. Why does one sometime wake up due to needing to urinate, even though you last drank around 6:30 p.m.?
Does one sometimes wake up due to needing to urinate? To urinate even though you must drink around 6:30.
Does anyone want to take that question?
Yes, that is normally due to an enlarged prostate.
Okay.
And that is something that will, in men, and that is, if it's a man that is experiencing that, then it's definitely an enlarged prostate. It doesn't mean that the person's got prostate cancer. So that is something that they might want to have tested as soon as possible to see if it's an enlarged prostate. And there are a number of different things that can be done to fix that problem. Soaking in a bath, getting a warm bath. Like Jason mentioned last week, or I think it was Dr. Kgomotso, wearing loose fitted underwear is very, very important. Stinging nettle root is also very good for that, to help to fix that problem as well. Pumpkin seed or any sort of zinc supplement is very good for that as well. Those are just some of the things that can be used. Sulfur metal is another one that can also be used as well to help to fix that problem. If it's a woman, then there might be some other issue, and I'll probably let Dr. Kgomotso address that one.
Okay.
Dr. Kgomotso, would you just like to share some information regarding that, if just for the benefit of women? Is she still here?
Yeah, she was there. Someone needs to unmute her.
Okay.
No, she's not.
Yes, she is here. I'll ask her to unmute. Can you unmute yourself, Doc? I'm sending her there.
Jonathan?
Yes,
Yeah,
now.
while she's trying to unmute, there are other things, diuretic drink that can actually cause that problem in both men and women as well. It can be dependent on what you have to drink before bed, even though it might be a couple hours before bedtime. So if you drink something like parsley, or even surcity, I heard Pastor Sterling making reference to, these things will cause you to go to the go to the ladies' room very often as well during the night.
And is it because these are diuretics?
Yes, because they're diuretic herbs and they're made to sort of help the blood to empty itself. So yeah, it will happen. Once it moves through the body, it will happen. It will stimulate that water.
Okay.
She's not there.
I think we'll move on to the next question as she's not there. So hopefully that answer the question.
How do you advise someone who works regular night shift?
And the next question says, okay, I've read that one already. How do you advise people who work regular night shift to cope with their sleeping pattern? Shirlene?
Hmm?
Would you like to take that question? I don't think they can see you there.
Regarding the
we can see on the other one.
Oh yeah, I forgot this one out.
Sorry.
Regarding the regular sleeping pattern, to be honest, it's quite difficult.
We need to unmute Shirlene, please. She's muted.
Yeah.
Sorry, so technically what it is with night shift is quite difficult because they kind of flipped 360 degrees. So when they're supposed to be sleeping and resting, they're going to be eating. And when they're supposed to be awake, they're going to be sleeping. So for night shift workers, I know with some that I've spoken to, they'll probably eat around 7, and because they're working, they'll burn it off throughout the night from working. And I think they don't eat again, they said, until maybe the morning. No, they have like a lunch per se, and then they'll have their breakfast when they finish, and then they'll go to sleep. But of course, this is really imbalancing how our body's supposed to be designed in the first place, of going to sleep when it's nighttime and being awake when it's daytime. So with the night shift workers, even with I know when they're off work, some of them will with their windows have roller blinds, the blacked out windows, to for them to help them sleep, so the room is dark, to bring in that melatonin increase, and then they will play soothing music. That's some people who work night shifts who I know what they do. But really and truly, because it's flipping how it's designed, it's really hard to say how they can, when they can eat or when they can sleep, because it's at a different time zone of what they're going to be doing it at. I don't know if anybody else can help on that question of advising somebody who works regular nights to cope with a sleeping pattern.
I think Sharon got her hand up. Maybe she wants to contribute to that question.
And true temperance.
And Lewis.
No, my hand wasn't up on that topic. So if someone else wants to deal with it,
working night shift, I think if the people take it like being jet lagged, because a lot of us are suffering from social jet lagging because we're doing a lot of things outside of the time. They have what we call work jet lagging. When I used to travel a lot with the teams, I would tell the players that according to the time we, 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 going, because the truth of the matter is then trying to run away from nature. It's not like for the whole, as soon as possible, get your rhythm. So if for 5 days you're working night shift, you just have to understand that your body is going to feel jet lagged for that week. Because, okay, let's say Monday, you're working like the nurses, they work from 7 in the evening until 7 in the morning. So you're gonna get home, you're going to rest, you're going to try and eat during that time. But normally that's about what you then try to do on day 5 is, as quickly as possible, get your body back in tune with nature. All right, so don't continue the pattern of sleeping during the day and being up at night saying that this is how my life is. That just interferes with your biological clock. You cannot change your biological clock. It can act for a while, but if you do that for years and years and years and years and years, and then take leave, make sure when you take leave, it's for a substantial period of time, and just get your body back into the circadian rhythm, because this is internal. It is set. By living 40 years of night shift work does not change your body clock. You actually just disrupt it more and more. It is a very difficult thing, I know, but try, like when you're traveling, try as much as possible when you get a moment to get your body back into rhythm. Am I making sense? So take leave when you're not doing night work, get your body quickly back into rhythm, eat at the right time, sleep at the right time. Make sure you take that warm bath, Epsom salt, just put measures back in place to restore your body as much as possible.
Thank you very much, Doctor.
Thanks a lot. Have we got any more questions?
Yeah, there's one from Ruben.
There is a question from Ruben.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, Louise. Someone's asking.
Go ahead, Louise, and we'll just take Ruben after.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Doc, for that. You know, when you're working with people for years and years who have this sleep, this, as Shirlene calls it, this flip in their natural rhythm of when they should be sleeping, isn't it, Doc, that I was reading that your melatonin is released, the most of it is released between 9 and 12 p.m. And so my question is, if it's that's when the greatest amount is being released. And so my question is, if it's being released in terms of the majority at that time, how does that affect you if you're trying to make your area then dark when you come home from work? How does that affect your melatonin release then? Does it do exactly the same, or is it that you've missed that window of the greatest amount of melatonin? What is actually happening?
Can someone
I'm not sure I understand the question.
I'm saying, my question is, if your melatonin, the majority of your melatonin is released at a certain time, and then let's just say we're on a shift work, and then we come home at 7 o'clock in the morning, and then we're going to bed by darkening the windows and everything like this. Does that still release the melatonin in the way it is that it's supposed to do because you've blackened your windows and everything? Or is there an interference there somehow? Is there still that interference there?
Oh, all right. I see what you're saying. Thanks for that. That's an important question. Okay, so your melatonin is released in the evening at 9. That is because of your internal body clock, for you to be able to go to sleep, but also for repairs to happen to your brain. When you come during the day, you are trying to mimic a similar thing, but it will not be the same, and you will not release the same, unless some people, what they do is they take melatonin. Otherwise, you can also take 5-HTP, which makes serotonin, and from serotonin, you make your melatonin. But however, remember, sometimes you sleep not necessarily because of the melatonin, but because you are fatigued. So you don't necessarily need to have those high levels of melatonin. So like somebody was asking on the group, over the weekends, I find that I sleep a lot. Is that a bad thing, covering up for during the week? That's when you're having sleep deficit. So you're sleeping because you're fatigued, not necessarily because you have high levels of melatonin. I don't know if that answers the question. What you want to end up doing is getting to a time where you're sleeping at 9 when your own internal body releases the melatonin. Because if you now start going on pills to have melatonin released at a certain time, and then when you end up going back into nature and trying to sync it, you are having a clock that you have interfered a lot with. Am I making sense?
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah. And then what about when you have like a little lie-in? You know, sometimes they say it's best to take a little nap during the day. How does that? Because like sometimes I say to my grandchildren, go and have a nap. I don't know if it's for their sanity or minds. I'm not quite sure which one it is, but I say go and have a little nap, especially if I see them getting in a certain state. Does that affect them in a wrong way, or is that okay for them to be doing?
She's answering the same question for Simi.
Yeah, we did talk about power naps a bit earlier on, that it depends on the people. Generally, a person should not just regularly get into the habit of sleeping during the day, because then you might not be able to sleep at night. But if your brain is fatigued, and like you're saying, if somebody is having that kind of, you've seen them become very angry or whatever, sometimes them taking a short little nap, nothing more than an hour, that can help to, as somebody put it, recharge the mind. So that's all it is, a short period just to recharge the mind. We did kind of speak about it a bit earlier.
Okay, thank you.
Can I make a comment?
Yes.
That's fine. Go ahead, Shar.
Yeah, a friend of mine said that he was having difficulty sleeping, and I'd heard it suggested that you could have some kiwi. So I suggested that to him. Said, you know, have a few kiwi before you go to bed, like in your last meal, not directly before you go to bed. Otherwise, you know, you're snacking or eating too late. And so we tried this, and he said it worked too well. I don't know how many. He said he had quite a bit, and he ended up being late for uni the next morning. But it did work. I've not tried it myself because I don't have problems going to sleep. But are there any other food suggestions or beverages that could be made to help people with, you know, are there any other foods that induce sleeping? So that was kiwi fruit that worked for this friend of mine.
Sharon.
Yeah.
Yeah, mate. Hi everyone. Ashwagandha is another. I know a lot of doctors, natural doctors, use ashwagandha as another herb that I use it myself as well. I test it on myself when it comes to sleeping, but I think I took a bit too much, and it really got me incredibly drowsy. I almost felt like a blaze of zoot or something. So it was crazy. And that's exactly. So I know it works. I definitely know it works. I know a lot of doctors do, like Dr. McCullough and other guys like in America, they do use ashwagandha quite a lot when people got issue with sleeping. So maybe but one warning: if you got high blood pressure, I'm not sure. I don't think you can take it. Ashwagandha and high blood pressure, especially the medication, does not agree. So because I think it can, because I think it can lower your blood pressure as well. So you have to be mindful of that as well. So, but I know ashwagandha potentially. Also, some people use not something that I would not advocate, but I'll say CBD oil as well. Some people use that also to induce sleep. So,
and what about bananas?
I'm not sure bananas, but I won't see why not.
Well, I think ideally we don't want to use food to induce sleep. You would rather use your herbs. And Louis, you're absolutely right. Ashwagandha is beautiful for helping people sleep because it lowers the stress hormone cortisol, which interferes with the work of melatonin. I think, Shirlene, you mentioned some beautiful herbal teas that people can use to drink to help them sleep. they're nice, they're warming to the body. It's better to use herbal teas than to try and use food, because remember, we want to go to bed with an empty stomach. So if you're using food that's something else. Somebody was asking about the teenage son. Sorry, I've been going on and off, so I don't know if the question was answered. Waking up in the night, that's not good for their growth. And maybe they're nutritionally hungry. Maybe you want to put, most boys that we see, we put them on zinc supplements to help with their appetite, but they need to be eating highly nutritious foods because they do get hungry because they're growing so rapidly. So they need a substantial protein diet as well, but with all the other different minerals. Otherwise, they will wake up to eat. And sorry, the last question was about going to the toilet to urinate. I know that can interfere with a good quality of sleep. What's supposed to happen in a healthy body is your body's supposed to release a chemical to suppress your kidneys from making urine. I've had patients that were not able to do that. One herb that helps is valerian. It smells terrible and it tastes terrible, so you may want to take it as a capsule. But what it does is it helps that part of the body that's supposed to suppress your kidneys from making too much urine. So instead of them going to the toilet 6 times in the night, they may go twice, and that actually improves the quality of their sleep. So yeah.
Sorry, if there's no other questions, I'd like to quickly jump in and say, when I find that if I've worked very like long hours and I know I'm quite highly strung, I've got quite highly strung and stuff like that, I find that if I take things like hops, chamomile, passion flower, if I use those type of herbs, then I find that it really, really has me having a nice flow of sleep. I'm a type of person that if I hear a noise, I can wake up. But if I take those herbs, I'm like completely out, and I feel very rested and stuff like that. And also what I find is that I've got a brother who does this. He snacks a lot. He gets up a lot during the night and he's always eating, and I'm always a bit concerned about that, because I think, well, actually what's happening with him? How is that disturbing his sleep and stuff like that? So I've been saying to him, look, don't eat so much during the night. Try not to get up in the night and snack and whatever. And he says that he finds that if he doesn't eat late, if he doesn't snack, then he's much better at sleeping the whole way through.
There's a question from Maureen. I'm not quite sure, Doc, if that's the one you've answered. That says, are you suggesting that unless you have a underlying problem, you should never get up to use the toilet at night? I'm not sure if that's the one you answered before.
You shouldn't, unless you I don't drink a lot of water. I eat a lot of ice before I go to sleep because I'm trying not to snack. And what that does is don't do that, okay? It's terrible for your teeth. But what that does is that it gets me going to the toilet 5 times in the night. Now that interferes with my sleep, but I very quickly fall into deep sleep. So I don't spend a lot of time in stage 1 and stage 2 of sleep. Like literally, I go deep in and then I'm fast asleep. But as generally, you should not be going to the toilet too often in the night because your body's supposed to suppress that part. So if you are, the person was right. They said you need to just get a diagnosis, see if you have diabetes, or it can actually be checked out if you're not making enough of the ADH to suppress your urine formation. So that's important. Sister Louise, if for people who find that they are light sleepers, that means you're not going into deep sleep. So even though it seems like you're sleeping 7-8 hours, it is not a good quality sleep. You're supposed to go into such a deep sleep that things don't wake you up. Now, my sister said I can talk about her because my sister lacks serotonin because she doesn't have good bacteria to make serotonin, blah, blah, blah. Long story. But anyway, 3 weeks ago, we finally put her on 5-HTP, which helps her to make serotonin and which helps serotonin is then converted into melatonin. So if you're not sleeping well, try taking 5. And she said for the first time, she's able to sleep with my parents watching the TV and they don't have to have a fight about it because she's going into
Wow.
deep sleep. All right.
Wonderful.
So if you're finding you're not going into deep sleep, try that. Maybe you're not making enough levels of melatonin. If things easily wake you up, you're not going into level 3, 4, and 5 of sleep. And therefore, you're going to be having sleep deficit, thinking that you're sleeping sufficiently. Sorry to talk so long.
No, good.
No, that's very good. There's a question here. I've seen Jonathan and the thing asking about fertility and not getting enough sleep. Can not getting enough sleep affect fertility as you talk about biological clock and body not developing in time? Anybody? Is there a link between that? Doctor, can you hear me? Is Dr. Louisa here?
I missed the question. My internet had a glitch.
Yeah, someone was asking, can not getting enough sleep affect fertility? As we talked about earlier, about biological clock and body not developing in time. So lack of sleep, will it affect fertility?
Yes, absolutely. Your biological clock governs when you eat, when you sleep, when you mate, so that when you can reproduce. Anything that interferes with your biological clock, remember, it's going to interfere with how it tells everything else to work. Everything in the body is linked. So if you're not sleeping well enough, your body will not know when it's supposed to tell your ovaries to ovulate, to do this and to do that, when your hormones are supposed to be released. So it's not just sleep that's affected. Every aspect of you, your pancreas. That's why people who don't sleep end up with diabetes. I'm hoping everybody is understanding just why we're talking about sleep today. If you're not sleeping properly, every aspect of your life is going to be affected. It may show later on in life, but it's definitely going to be affected. But anyway, in short, yes, lack of sleep can affect your fertility because it will affect your hormonal balance.
Thank you very much, Doctor. We'll take Sinclair Martin hand. He want to ask a question?
Hi, thanks for the presentation. You mentioned about if you have too much sleep or too little sleep can affect you. Is there any type of formula in terms of to measure the amount of sleep you're supposed to get or not get?
Hi, Sinclair.
Hi.
Regarding with the guidelines, because everybody's different, body makeup is different. I'll suggest work with what your body is telling you, because I know sometimes I'll go to bed around 10 and then wake up around 3, 4 and I'm refreshed. And then as soon as I go back to bed, because I'm looking at the clock thinking it's too early, I'm not getting up, go back to sleep, and then I'm kind of drowsy and more tired. So I suggest everyone's different. So work with your body of
in other words, you will know, Sinclair, if you get enough rest or not. Your body will tell you that.
Yes.
Well, for me, I normally go to bed about 10:30 and I wake up about 5, and that seems to be enough sleep for me. I've done that for quite a number of years.
As what was mentioned in the presentation, it was mentioned that some people are short sleepers, and and that's genetic. That's their genetic makeup.
Yeah.
While others they need 8 hours in order to function. You know, so everybody is different.
Sure.
So you might be a short sleeper and you function on the 5-6 hour mark.
Yeah.
So you don't have to sleep what's according to the guidelines, what they say of 8 hours, 9 hours. So your body might be sufficient on the 5 and 6 hours.
Sometimes if I need it, I sleep longer.
Say that again, sorry, Sinclair.
Sometimes if my body tells me to sleep longer, I just sleep longer. So
Yes.
as you said, it just depends on what your body tells you.
Yes, exactly. Just listen to your body and it will tell you when it's had enough or when it needs more sleep. And just listen to it and do it, especially with the resting. When you're working too hard and your body telling you to rest, just sit down and rest.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Have we got any other questions? I can't see anything in the chat room.
Now there's one from Sim that says, is it true the critical time to repair your body is between 10 and 2 p.m. So we should be sleeping by then?
Yes. Oh, 10 a.m. Oh, no. 10 a.m. or 10 p.m. I'm guessing 10 p.m.
I suppose Sim is trying to say 10 p.m.
10 p.m. Yes.
Yes. They do say if you sleep before 2 hours before midnight, is basically those 2 hours is basically 4 hours worth of sleep when you sleep before midnight, 2 hours before. And then yes, your body does go into that repair mode. So 2 hours before midnight is good for the body. It gives you like 4 hours sleep.
Any other question? If we don't have any question, it seems like we are in for an early finish, so we'll take in. Go ahead, Louise.
Sorry. You know, there's some talk about that if you know, some people, they say, oh, I have to sleep longer at the weekend, or I have to sleep longer now because I miss most of my sleep during the week, you know? But I don't know how true that theory is. I don't think that's true. You can never catch up on sleep, can you? Because it's like, if you've missed it, you've missed it. So they're saying, well, I need to sleep extra on the weekend so that I can catch up on the sleep that I've missed during the week. How true is that theory? My opinion is that it's rubbish, but I just want to hear the professionals' opinion.
I think, of course, Dr. Louisa is here and she can address that, but I would point them back to the chart that she put up earlier. And in saying there's a time and a place for everything, or a season rather. But would you like to expand on that, Dr. Kgomotso?
Yeah, look, it the same way we can have nutritional deficiencies, we can have a sleep deficiency. And so it's called a sleep deficit or a sleep debt that you have to make it up. Otherwise, people who work night shift would not need to work to sleep and catch up because they've worked for 36 hours and they have missed the opportunity for sleep. So when you're working crazy hours, you have to make it up, because what you've done is you really fatigued your body. So you need to sleep and get time for your body to catch up, not to catch up, to allow your body sufficient time to repair and to recharge so that you're able to continue. And for each person, that amount of time is going to be different depending on how much damage was done before. So there is a concept of sleep debt and sleep deficit, and you do need to catch it up if because otherwise your body is going to break.
Is that the same as like, oh, I went to bed at 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the morning because I was up watching TV, and then because of that, of course, I'm going to be exhausted during the day. So then is that the same as that in terms of, oh, I've got to sleep now because I went to bed late, so I've got to catch back up on my sleep? Is that the same thing?
Well, that if I'm talking to that kind of person, I'm going to tell them, of course you feel tired because you're not working in accordance with your body. You slept at 12. and therefore you were late. You didn't have enough melatonin. Remember, melatonin does more than make you sleep. It actually helps your body to repair. Okay. So that kind of person, I would tell them, look, you need to go to bed at 9. Otherwise, every day you're going to feel tired and you're not going to be able to do the work that you're supposed to do for the day. Now, that's different for somebody who's working night shift, and that's different for somebody, you had a major project, and for the week, all you did was you worked until midnight, caught a nap from midnight until 2 a.m., woke up because you had a deadline. Then when you're done with your project, you may just crash and sleep, so that you just allow your body the time to recover and to recuperate. And then you get back, you need to always try and get back into the normal rhythm and cycle of things. So it should not be a lifestyle. Otherwise, you're just not going to be functional. If you're sleeping at midnight and then saying at 2 in the afternoon, I'm going to sleep. That's just not being very wise once you understand. A lot of people do it out of ignorance, but the presentation was brought forth to say, if you're going to do that, know that during the day you're going to feel tired and you will want to sleep, but day is not for sleeping. So to be an efficient person, sleep at 9 in the evening until you wake up feeling refreshed without a need of an alarm clock, because your body has its own. And then you'll find that you're able to work better during the day. But there should be an emergency that requires you to be up most of the night, know that you may suffer from a sleep debt or a sleep deficit. Catch it up as soon as you can to bring your body back, because otherwise your immune system is going to be affected. And then, you get what I'm saying.
Okay, since you're on the point of sleep deficit, someone is asking, what do we use to support melatonin if you don't have enough of it?
Eat melatonin-rich foods.
Shirlene is suggesting eating
melatonin-rich foods.
Melatonin-rich foods. But I'll let you carry on.
Carry on, doctor.
Go on, Louisa.
Melatonin is made from serotonin. Remember the other time we spoke that 95% of the serotonin is actually made in your gut by the good bacteria. If you're not making enough serotonin, what you need is an amino acid called 5-HTP. 5-HTP is converted to serotonin, and for that kind of conversion, you need B6, B12, and B3. You need those 3. So make sure that you're getting those from your foods, from your supplements, making sure you've got good bacteria in your gut, and then you should be able to sleep well. Okay. In South Africa, there's a new product called Zymood, ZYMOOD. It's got 5-HTP with the 3, I think, vitamin B, and that's the one that really has helped my sister to be able to get the deep sleep that she's never, ever, ever, ever had. We have to walk around eggshells around her, but now she's sleeping deep. So consider getting something like that if you're struggling.
Dr. Louisa, can you share that information in the chat, please, for anybody who would consider getting it? Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Doc, did you say B3, B6, and B3? No, I said that wrong. What was the 3 Bs? What was the 3 Bs? I know the 3, the 6, and the. But I missed. What was the what other one?
What was it again, Louisa?
Oh, B12, B6,
Was it B12?
B3.
There's someone from Bua. You see it? Bua. Do you want me to ask?
Yeah. Unmute yourself. ask yourself a question.
There is a question from Buwa. Wife is struggling with sleep and has been put on a chronic prescription of Stilnox. She still struggles despite the pills. Is there a healthier alternative, please? That kind of relates to what Louisa was saying regarding the serotonin levels and within the gut, and then with the melatonin. But she can also take some foods that contains melatonin as well, which is like nuts and the seeds and the and rice, tomatoes, olives. They're all melatonin rich foods. So you can also eat that if you're lacking in melatonin. That can help. But also to deal with the gut issue, because majority of things are because of the gut. So illnesses and diseases, and then sleep can be a part of that as well. So deal with the gut issue and take some melatonin rich foods. Maybe try essential oils as well. You might want to self-care and bath and essential oils. So try that as well.
Yeah. I was gonna say, in terms of the medication that she's being put on, I'm always a little bit worried when people are put on medication for sleep because of the side effects it has. And so for that gentleman who's asking the question, I think that if you've, I don't know if you've missed some of what the doctor's been talking about, but in terms of the HTC5 and the foods that Shirlene just mentioned, and also making sure she gets to bed or gets into bed or at a good time would be very, very helpful. Because I always struggle with the medication thing, because I always think in the long run, what will be the side effect? And if she's already not, if the drug is not already having an effect on her in terms of putting her to sleep, then I'm always a little bit concerned about that.
I also think that physical activity is very essential to sleep. So what that person lifestyle is like, or they physical active, something to be considered.
And the eating of late, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Louise.
No, let Doc speak, please. She was going to say something.
I hear you about the Stilnox. If your wife is suffering from depression or even stress, all of what we're saying is not going to help her much. People who are stressed, their body makes a lot of cortisol. So it doesn't matter how much melatonin you have, cortisol will always override melatonin. So that's why it's important to have a consultation. At the beginning we said we gave a disclaimer. This is for educational purposes. So maybe you've tried everything and it hasn't helped. If she has high cortisol levels, then ashwagandha would be the treatment option for her, because what it will do is it will suppress the cortisol so that the melatonin can act. So it doesn't matter, she can take the 5-HTP and all of that, but if her stress levels are too high, then that stops the melatonin from acting. But if you suppress the melatonin, the cortisol with ashwagandha, which is a natural herb, then she adds the melatonin levels, then she'll be able to sleep better. Sometimes what I do for my patients, Louise, is I do use medication, because somebody who's suffering from sleep deficit will have a high heart rate. So if they're not within me and they don't have access to anything, as an emergency, something ride their system and knock them out. And then when I'm coming to their vicinity, then I make sure that then I transition them to help them, because I've had people with heart rate 120 and they needed an emergency solution and they didn't have access to anything. So in the meantime, for about a week, it's never more than a week where I put them on that, because those are easily accessible and available for a lot of people. Then in the meantime, I send them the ashwagandhas or whatever that is specifically going to help them. With regards to the 5-HTP and the vitamin Bs and the Zymudes that I mentioned, these are natural things we're supposed to be getting from our food. So you can take those supplements. They're not going to harm you in any way, but you want to try to be getting it from your food. But if you're not, like my sister has been trying to fix her gut for a long time, if you're not able to, then take the supplements. They are not like medication. They don't interfere with your natural functioning. They supplement what you're supposed to be having. So it should not be. So the gentleman whose wife is on Stillnox, perhaps we can chat off the side so that we can find out specifically what her issue was, so that we can give the right information. Because like we said at the beginning, this is for educational purposes. It's a blanket approach for anybody to try, but for your wife, we may need to specifically know what's interfering with her sleep, so that we can help her.
Yep.
Thank you.
Just
Yes,
a quick
Louis?
one. Just to add what we were saying, yeah, when it comes to physical exercise or being physical is very important when it comes to sleeping. And a lot of times, like with me and sleeping, I was a light sleeper myself, and I realized that every time, like once I go to the gym regularly or exercise regularly, etc., I always find that I fall asleep much quicker and I sleep more deeper. And when I don't exercise or don't be physical, that they even at me with this COVID-19 issue and being at home, my sleep has been much worse than when I was at work, even though I'm at work. So it shows that. So for me, because one, they shut all the gyms down as well, so a lot of people not going to the gym, myself not going to the gym, etc., not being physical enough. It's crazy because even my bowel movements have changed. So we not being physical have a big impact on our sleep, more than people will actually appreciate. So like what Dr. Kgomotso says, it's important that person to need to go have a proper consultation. So all these little things may be part of the issue as well. And also another good tea that we can drink is catnip tea as well. It works similar to valerian, I believe. It calms the nerves down, it calms the body down completely. It's very good. So catnip tea, if I want to take notes, that's another good tea to take. Catnip tea, but I would definitely recommend exercise is a key component. So yeah, so get exercising is something that you'll find out it will benefit you in the long run.
Well, like I said last week, guys, if anybody close by in Nottingham do have a big allotment, need plenty help, that's plenty exercise there. I'm just saying, plenty benefit. I think we come to the end of the program, but before we go, we would like to have the challenge for next week. So can I invite Marie?
Yeah.
To speak now, please.
Right. Hi, everyone again. This week's challenge is going to be hanging on the ideas that were shared, especially by Shirlene. So I just want to recap so that everyone gets a good understanding as to why the challenge is being set, and something for you to keep in mind as you go throughout this week, that you won't give up on the challenge. So one, irregular eating pattern is one of the things that Shirlene touched, and this really affects the circadian rhythm, which in turn affects the brain's ability of learning, concentration, and memorizing. So we need to plan and set regular times for our meals, which will bring structure to our life and will eliminate us eating late and which will have an impact on our sleep. So that's one thing I want us to remember from this week. Also, that as the body goes through its 5 REMs, as shared by Shirlene, that this is a time within the 3rd REM, I think she said, that the body does repair. Now, if we go to bed with a full stomach, it means that while we're lying there, that our body is busy working, trying to digest this food. And even though we might think we're sleeping, we're not sleeping well because the organs of our body are still working. And then it will eliminate the repair or the restoration that should be taking place, won't be happening. There are also some people who suffer from acid reflux, and sometimes it's as a result of, going to bed straight after having a meal. Now, the pressure created by the food metabolism when you lie down and sometimes cause a loosening of the lower esophageal sphincter, which in turn will cause some of the undigested food to escape and come back up into the esophagus, right? And there you go, you'll have an acid reflux. So we want to try not to eat late or too close to bedtime. Now, another thought I like to share is that the stomach, when we lie down, and this is a premise for our challenge this week, should have all its work done. Yes, we should have eaten well before give ourselves enough time before bedtime that would have had our last meal, and all digestion would have taken place long before we are ready to sleep. Now, after the stomach, if we eat too close to bedtime, yes, it's going to affect our sleep. And that's what we want to remember from this week. And sometimes when you get close to bedtime, you might feel, I'm feeling a little bit hungry, and you might tend to want to eat something. This week, you're going to try not to give in to that, because sometimes what really is happening is that your stomach is overtaxed, and that is what is causing the faintness, not really that you really need food to eat. It's as a result of the system being overtaxed where you get that faint feeling as if you're really hungry. So do watch out for that. So this week's challenge. The challenge for this week is for you to have your last meal at least 4 hours before bedtime. 4 hours, because this is the approximate time that your food will take to digest. And remember, I just said that we don't want the body to be trying to digest food when you when you're in bed, when you are trying to get your sleep. You want all the digestion to be complete before your bedtime. So the challenge is to have your last meal at least 4 hours before bedtime. So for example, if you're going to bed for 10 o'clock, ensure that you've completed your last meal by around 6 p.m. to give the body enough time to carry out its digestion so that your body can be ready to rest when you go to bed at 10 o'clock. Does everyone understand the challenge?
Yep.
Right. So you do your calculation. If you're going to bed 9:30, then it means that it would be 5:30 for your last meal. Okay.
Thank you very much, Sister Marie.
Discipline.
There's still one more.
Who's that?
Where are you, Shirley?
Gone. Sorry. There is another one that I started with the women, and I don't know if the men want to do it as well, but it's to we've been doing tomatoes on the skin, and it's very good for the skin. So that's if the males want to do it as well, but the women's group is doing it. We're putting tomato on our face, so we have 2 challenges for this week. So tomato on the face, and then going to sleep. I mean, not eating 4 hours before you go to sleep.
Baby skin. Baby.
Okay.
Take off for the baby.
If you haven't got anything, if you haven't got another question.
Just to, yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go on, Jonathan.
No, it's fine. If there's one last burning question, if we miss someone, they can ask. Otherwise, I'll just talk about next week's program.
Right. No, go ahead, Jonathan. Yeah.
So next week, I think we will be having Dr. Thomas Jackson will be speaking next week. And Brother Noel, you can bear me up here. I think he will be speaking. The subject will be on mental health and nutrition. We are asking you all to please attend and also invite a friend and invite anybody who you know might be benefited from the program next week.
Dr. Thomas Jackson.
Yes, he will be coming to us from America. So yes.
It'll be good. It'll be good. Mental health is a potent issue at this moment in time. When every one of us is locked down, I'm sure it will be more than welcome. Well, if there's nothing else, we'd like to say thanks today for the TTI group, and especially to Shirlene for her presentation, and Doctor coming all the way from South Africa. Thank you again very much, and we hope that you'll join us again next week. So from that, goodbye everyone, and have a good afternoon, and stay safe. God bless you all. Take care.
Take care, guys. See you next week.
Take care.
Bye. Try and stick to the challenge.
Yes.
Thank you. Goodbye and bless you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, how can we get reminders? How can we get reminders to know when the time? Oh, okay.
Oh, I'll just text you, Cher.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Just message me.
Who's turned off the YouTube?
Thank you, guys.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend.